New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome. It's wonderful to see you again. I am Reverend Sharri Johnson, and I am your host for Global Focus today. We have a wonderful guest today. This is her return visit, and I'm just so excited that she came back and said yes when I asked her to, because she has all kinds of interesting things to talk about. And this is Reverend Dr. Melissa Missy Higginbotham, who is from the Emerson Theological Institute, and she is just a whiz-bang cool person. So help me welcome her back, Dr. Missy, thank you so much for coming back again. I just can't wait to hear what you have to say today. And the last time we met, you said something that was kind of not just your run-of-the-mill thing. You said, let me get it, your mission is to hold the door of consciousness open so that all may enter. And then you said that you help people to reach their highest divine potential. So I want to know, can you give us a little more detail about that? How do you go about doing such a thing?
You know, it's interesting. When I love the thought of people reaching their highest divine potential, and what does that mean? What does that mean? You know, we're all hunting for our what is our most authentic self and what is our potential. And when we go into ministry or when we're looking for the path, you know, where are we supposed to be going towards? What are we here on earth to do? And sometimes what we find out is what we're doing right now is what we're supposed to be doing. But how can we make that the best we can be? How can we be like Sharri? How can you be the best Sharri you can be in any moment? And how can I be the best Missy I can be? And what does that look like? And we don't always know what that looks like. And we would like it sometimes to look like what we see someone else over there. Oh, I want to be her, you know, I want some of that. And when I started with Emerson, I wanted Emerson to reach its highest divine potential. And one of the things that Dr. Angie and Dr. Sandy West and I started doing was anchoring, claiming for Emerson that it would be in alignment, in accord. You know, you think of it in music, you know, are you in harmony? Are you in alignment? Are you there, true north? You know, are you truing with the highest divine potential? And we don't always know what that looks like. But if we hold that concept in one's heart, then it's like that's the consciousness we align with, and therefore the universe says yes, 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 and the people and the resources and the learnings and the challenges we get come into alignment to help us stay true, to help us sing that song of highest divine potential. And so, what might it look like for our students, right? And so when I get someone that says, hey, I want to check out Emerson. And so I say, well, you know, what do you want to do? You know, and I give them a welcome letter and I say, send in all your transcripts and send in all your documentation and pictures of your certificates and diplomas and give me your life story, you know, and they go, oh, holy moly, 20 years? I go, yeah, because Emerson we understand that who you are today is as a result of where you've been and the challenges you've overcome and the decisions you have made. So who you are today is a result, and you've learned a lot. So tell us what you've done, and then as we travel with you, we journey with you. You're going through a class, and where they're saying, okay, you have this understanding of something. Well, that's have you thought of thinking this way, or have you thought of looking at it this way? And and they go, well, no, I haven't. And so then I said, okay. And one of the things that we like to do is, what sparks you? What are you interested in? Because people come and they're it's like they're starting the journey again. It's like like they're going to Oz, the Emerald City. Okay, it's the hero or heroine's journey. We take these little mini pilgrimages, right? A pilgrimage is finding a sacred spot. So where are they traveling to find a sacred spot within themselves? Are they're feeling like there's something more than just going to their day job? Not understanding that their spiritual journey and their day job should be like this. Not that they should be out doing healing work, quitting their day job as a typist, or like I did for a while. We've all done things like cashiering, waitressing. The thing is to take who and what you are and align it with that job, so that you're radiating the consciousness of who and what you are wherever you are. And so that's how so we try to individualize study to your interest, and then show you how you take that as you change in consciousness, and how you start saying, oh, aha. And so that's what that is. And that's why I'm feeling this way, and show you how to stay sane while you're still expanding, and how to radiate more of the truth of who you really are. And you take that out into the world. That's how you do your spiritual journey. And people are interested in different things, they're interested perhaps in the study of Christ consciousness, or be more of the mind and body of Christ. That thought or concept attracts them, or maybe religious studies, or quantum studies, understanding that quantum and the divine matrix, and how does it relate to science and mind, or perhaps their studies in unity. And as ministry changes, people say, well, I don't want to be a minister. Well, you're already a minister. You maybe don't have the label, or you don't have the certificate that says that you have done this course, and therefore now I hereby dub you minister. But if you're out there radiating, you're a minister, and you're a practitioner, because you are there in the divine flame, radiating the who and what you are in truth. And so how do we align, as ministry changes, how do we align consciousness with a vision of what ministry can be? And that's one of the things that's exciting, because everything's expanding. The universe is expanding. So guess what? You're a part of the universe. So you're going to be expanding too. You are expanding. So one of the things that we like to say in Emerson is, we're open at the top. So what does that mean? So what does open at the top mean? We don't know what we don't know. And that's exciting. So we are open to exploring almost anything. And then we can see how we can align it to higher consciousness. So someone comes to us and says, or it's just like the kanji, the Japanese calligraphy and stuff. And it supposedly has like 7 levels of meaning. And as you get to that one level, you go, aha. And then all of a sudden, you start exploring it more, and as you expand in consciousness, all of a sudden you find that there's another level of meaning, and you get to those moments of understanding as you expand. I mean, just think how Charles Fillmore must have thought when he realized that the term righteousness really meant right thoughts. our right thinking. But then what does right thinking mean for us today? So we are building on the old, but we're also expanding into new fields of exploration. And what does that mean? We want people to understand that we have this core of who and what we were, but also of the potential of what we can be, and how we can bring that all, as Ed Tolle does, into the now moment. How do we do that? And that's what we want to explore with our students, those that want to, and we're willing to walk whatever path they want to, in order to help them be the best they can be. Be all you can be. It's like, but and how do you do that? Well, that's what we're here to journey with them, and that's what that's why we want to. That's what we call helping people reach their highest divine potential. We don't know what that is, but we want to be there and help them do it, because that's the exciting thing.
The benefit of not knowing what it is means that we can't put limits on it.
Absolutely.
It's not predefined when they get there.
That's right. It's eternal.
In my experience, my father said all kinds of really stupid things while I was growing up. But a couple of things he said, you have just reinforced in a way that made me do that. Oh, so that's what it, he said, if you ever wake up and say, oh God, I don't want to go to work, you have the wrong job.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What you do for a living should make your heart sing. Mm-hmm. It should be something you'd pay him to let you do. Mm-hmm. If it's not, you have the wrong job. The other thing he said that you just bumbled across too is that regret is wasted energy, because the only mistake that's stupid is the one you repeat, because that means you didn't learn anything the first time.
Yeah.
If you learned something from it, it wasn't a mistake. It was an unpleasant experience, but it wasn't a mistake because you learned something from it. It benefited you to have done whatever it was you did.
Right.
And that's the approach from Emerson that I just really love, is that you are who you are because that's who you're supposed to be.
Yeah, I know. You can't be anybody else. You can't,
all the other all the other names and personalities and essences were taken. This is the one I got, so this is the one I have to live with. But it's wonderful to know that you must have said 6 times we don't know what it is. We don't know what that potential is, because we don't try to know what the potential is. We only try to be open to it. We only try to let people experience it, and that experience is just so wonderful. It's just and there are so many different paths at Emerson. I mean, it's like a set of Legos, spiritual Legos. And you say, okay, here's what we got. And if what you want isn't in here, we'll put some of these together, or we'll rearrange them, or we'll do something and turn them into what you need. So could you talk a little bit about the variety, the expansiveness?
Well, at our core is the path to ministry, of course. We have, we were at the very beginning, and we still are a school of religious science practitioners and ministers. So we do have a path to that, and a lot of that training is done out in our affiliate centers. And we do have some that aren't, and we do have students that aren't affiliated with centers, and so we do one-on-one teaching with them through several of our ministers, and we have a lot of people both out in the centers that we contact with when we need help, and also we have a new dean of students who's the Reverend Dr. John Karn, who is going to be helping our centers develop more, the ones that we're getting a lot of centers that want more curriculum. So they can do more work out in the centers with the Science of Mind teachings as they are going independent. And so we are doing more work in that area, and trying to see what do our centers need and want, So we're looking at that, and because how do we expand and how do we support our centers? That's always there in our mind. But and then when people come, we also use our centers too to help for our internships, because when we do one-on-ones in the training of how do you become the prayer itself, for practitioner work. Goldsmith, when I read Practicing the Presence, and someone asked him for treatment work, and he says, done. I remember reading that and thinking, how do you do that? I want to be able to do that. And so you want to be able to have them, since there's an internship involved, you want them to be able to internship with a center or with a brick and mortar minister if it's possible. And so there's still a core there, and we also have interfaith ministry. And then we're also developing. We have a minister. Brock Ford, Brock, and he's developing some diversity programs. So he's out there looking at a lot of the diversity stuff, and that's really exciting. And so that's kind of a core with the ministry, the interfaith ministry, the Science of Mind ministry, and then we have the religious studies programs, and we have the spiritual studies programs, and then our overseas people, instead of spiritual studies, they look differently at spiritual studies, where they have where they call consciousness studies. So we also have where we're looking at consciousness studies along with spiritual studies. It's kind of a different sort of alignment, but still an alignment with. It's kind of hard to understand, but there is in their view, it's just in Americans' view, it's the same thing, but in overseas, they look at it a little bit different. And I think they think spiritual studies is more new agey as opposed to consciousness. But so we're looking at, so we have those programs, and then of course we have some new programs, the Wisdom Studies program, which if you can think of where we're looking at all of creation, we're looking at wellness, we're looking at, because you can't, if you don't take care of the body temple, how can you hold the divine light? How can you stay here on earth to radiate? And so it's the wellness studies. We have the stewardship studies. So we're looking at all of creation. We took the Lamb's Bible and looked at it in the beginning. So we have classes that have to do with the whales and the octopus and the dogs and the earth, and align it with consciousness, like bringing in the Cambridge Declaration of Consciousness, but asking people, well, the trees, why do you think that these parts of consciousness were created? And how do you think we should interact with them? And so, and then we have vibration. In the beginning was the Word. Well, the Word is vibration. And so how do you work with vibration? And then consciousness, and then wisdom, and how do you bring in new ways of transformation into business, into economics? And then you look at transcendence, the transcendence studies. It's like aspects of mastership, and how do you bring in integrity and impeccability, and truth and trust, and then alchemy. And alchemy is how do you become the prayer itself, and how do you become the breath and in breath and out breath of God, and leap to the next level of consciousness? How do you turn the spiritual lead into spiritual gold, or the human led into spiritual gold? And so these are all studies that we're working on to go from becoming bringing your daily life and your spiritual life and bringing it into unity. That's what we're all about. and it's to be the daily living prayer itself on all levels.
I love that, because what I'm hearing you say is that the general focus of Emerson, no matter which track you're on, the general focus of Emerson is helping us to realize who we really are and to align what we do and what we say with what we are.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So it's you're teaching people how to be.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, that's what Emerson is about: how to be, with a capital B and a capital E. How to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And wow, I love it. I think it's marvelous.
Well,
So,
Dr. Angie, he had said, we had many discussions, and we talked about how you go from becoming to beingness, and it's a journey. It's a journey. You get to one level and then you start the next level, and it's like and the quest. This is my quest to follow that star. Where you get to, and it's following the yellow brick road. It's you get to the Emerald City, and you're hearing the call. You're hearing the call, and the call could be, it could be a yearning. It could be a 12-step program. It could be you hit bottom, and then people helped you, and you overcame things. You learned lessons. You had challenges, and then you had some realizations. And you had gifts, and then you had other challenges, and you worked around them, and then you came back to a community, and you started teaching it. And then you start another path on a higher level, and it's a continuous ascension.
That's the word, continuous. It's not another path. It's that the path is as infinite as life is infinite.
It is.
And our society, in particular, the American society, thinks you become something and then you're done. Put your feet up, turn on the television, and unlax because you've done what you needed to do. And the truth is, you're never finished.
No, and our journey is not just we get to a certain level of understanding, and we're supposed to help the others. There's a story, and I forget where it is, Sharri, but it's about if you were going up the mountain and you look behind you and there were people coming up, did you help them? Did you stop and help them up, or did you just keep on going? And the whole thing is to help others up the path too. And I often think about, what if I dropped the body? What if I left planet Earth and I did my life review and I had a chance to help someone and I deliberately made the decision not to? It's different when you don't because of something, of your own angst or screwing things, but when you deliberately have a conscious choice not to, that's different, isn't it? And so I always try to help. Am I always successful? No, but I do try, and I do think of it as a vocation, which is essentially like for a teacher, yes. Like voce the voice.
Right. And what I find wonderful about all of the stuff that I've seen from Emerson and through Emerson is that the key to transforming yourself into somebody who always helps when help is needed and help is available is that the main thing we're learning is that there's only one of us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's only one of us. So if we say no to someone, what we're doing is saying no to ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if we make a conscious choice to do something that would be harmful to someone, we're harming ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And the wonderful thing is, once we start to realize that, we could no more say no.
Yeah, I know. And the thing is, and people will say no when it's not right for them at that moment. There's something else that they want to do, and that's okay, because I always, that things are in people's energy fields. So the it's like going and listening to a talk, and and you get some understanding, and you may not want to go further, but the understanding's in your energy field, so you're not going to lose it.
Right.
It just may not be time for you to walk through that doorway, and that's okay. That's okay. It's I get excited about what we can offer, and sometimes that excitement's too much for people, and that's okay. It just is, and it's I think the yeah.
How do you go about helping people figure out which set of Legos they need?
Well, I ask them to send me all their things, and a lot of times they have an attraction to a certain, they might want religious studies, or they might want spiritual studies, and I look at everything, because I wanna see. I don't want to just do a letter review on just what they want, but I also want to do a letter review on what the potential is. So they might. So let's say someone wanted to do a bachelor, and I did a bachelor's. I said, but if you decide to go on, you could do the master's, and this is what you have here for here. Or someone wanted to do religious studies. I said, you could do religious studies, but what's your spark? I see that on your classes, you haven't really gone toward religious studies. You've really gone more towards spiritual studies. Do you want Bible-oriented things, or do you want to have the whole candy store open for you? It's your decision. And so I show them the difference of what it is, but I leave it up to them. I said, go by your heart. I said, you let me know what you want. I said, but this is the difference on what, because there's a difference in the joy of what they're going to be studying, and so it's and that has a big deal to when that happens on that joy. And so so that's happened a couple of times, and I had one that I said, well, you said you want religious studies, but are you sure you don't want Doctor of Divinity instead? It seems like all your studies have to do with the divine inside. You decide, how does it feel? What's the spark? What leaps inside? And so I ask, I'm very aware of what's your inner sense say, and so that's how I don't push. They may think I push, but I really don't. I want them to decide, but I want to be very clear about where they're making the decisions and why. And so, clarity is a hard thing, isn't it? But I want them to be clear. So, because when you step out on a path, you need to be clear. I had a teacher that said you need focus, clarity, and commitment. You need to kind of be focused on the path, but you need to be very clear about the why and wherefore, and then commit to it. So if you're going to commit to something, then you need to be very, very clear about the why and wherefore, and make sure it's heart centered. Make sure that it's not just a label per se. The labels are kind of nice. Sometimes you need labels for the outside, for the externals. Someone on the outside wants a label, but it's make sure it's not a label that you're hanging your heart on.
Right.
That's a big difference between a label that you're having there just for someone else because they need the label. As opposed to, do you need the label to for your own self-worth? So
you show them the box of Legos.
I show them the candy store.
I
show them the box of Legos, and they decide what house they want to build.
And then you say, now, what resonates with you? Do you want one of these pictures, or do you want to build your own? That's what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah. And I tell them what kind of candy they can put in the boxes.
There you go.
Yeah. And do you want the caramels, or do you want the nut clusters? It's just like the first person we had for Dr. Wisdom Studies. If you remember, I talked with you about her, right? I said you can I told her, I said you can either do Doctor of Spiritual Studies, you don't have any units for that that the person has to matriculate, or they can do what Dr. Wisdom studies, and that person needs this many units. And what did that person do? They went for the Dr. Wisdom studies because that's what their heart said, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And that's the same thing. It's where's the heart go? Where does it feel? Where does the feelings go? Where does the spark?
Now, there's a question I ask every single one of my guests, and I asked you last time. I'm going to ask 3 of them, in fact, and I'm going to ask you again because I think that what you're talking about today really is about this one. And it is, how does Emerson Institute, and you in particular at Emerson Institute, how do you facilitate, enhance, encourage, whatever verb you want to pick, conscious evolution? Because that sounds to me like what you're talking about is conscious evolution.
Well, I have certain students that because when we get the letters of review, we'll look at a person's background and we'll send them to certain students that it seems to align with, and then there's certain students that want to journey with me, and so I'll set up Zooms with them like every 2 weeks, and once we decide where they want to go. And with the understanding that where they want to go may not always be where they end up. I say, they may say, well, I'm really interested in this. And I'll say, okay, well, we'll put that down to start with. Where do you want to start with? And they may start here. And then they find as they get through, as they start going through there, they start finding that as they grow, that something else catches their interest. And then I may say, well, have you thought of this? And this aligns with this. And so what I'm looking at when I look at a person is this round. It's like a circle. We talk about the medicine wheel, or we talk about a circle of life. And I look at a person in that circle of life feeling, or that circle of that spherical thinking, like, okay, if they are in a book about love, and there's this, and meanwhile they're having this challenge, or they're having these ahas, and instead of this book on something that's out left field, how about if we go over here and let's ground this by doing this on something that aligns with this book on love, but yet it fills in a wheel. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then they'll say, okay, so they'll take that one, and then maybe something else comes up in their life having to do with business transformation, let's say, and then I'm there saying, there's this book called Risk Forward about risking and going forward and not being sure, but taking those chances. And so why don't you think about taking that? And you see, that's going to align with the love, because you have to have the self-love and be. Do you see what I'm saying? And so I'm looking at the totality. How can we have a holiness of self? WH. How can we holing? WHOLING. And so they are matriculating. And I'm guiding them their journey in a labyrinthine kind of way, and it may not be where they thought they were going, and they find that the list of books are the classes that they were originally starting that they thought they were going to take no longer interest them. Because now they're expanding in this whole other area of transformation that is not only touching their heart in their consciousness, but also how the consciousness affects their business and their life, their home, because now they're finding that their home feels strange. Well, let's look at the holistic home. So let's look at feng shui. Okay, so now we're looking at how do you anchor consciousness in a home? And I just happen to have a class on how you do that with feng shui. And so then we look at the Celtic way of bringing the outside and looking at Visio Divina and bringing the outside, going outside, seeing what shimmers and bringing that back in. So now, do you see what I'm saying? Yep. So they are traveling in this journey, and it's all bringing it back because they started with love, but now it's a whole way different view, because now they're seeing home, they're seeing creation, they're seeing that whole box of Legos as themselves, and they're loving that, and it's I am that, I am this, and it's the in-breath and out-breath of God, but it's their journey through the whole enchilada.
Oh, I love the in-breath and out-breath of God.
Yeah, it's inscendent, you see, and that's when you start getting into the wheel of alchemy, because then you understand that what you saw outside the Visio Divina, the sight of seeing through the eyes of the Christ consciousness, and seeing that tree, that animal, that soil, that earth is seeing you with the eyes of the divine, as that is seeing you, and you're bringing that back in and seeing the shimmer, because now you're seeing little orbs in the pictures that are really fairies, perhaps. Who knows? But you're understanding that life is infinite. So who knows what it is? It doesn't matter. It just is. And you're breathing, and the ascendance is the infinity, in breath, out breath, and then you can go back to the beginning of Greg Braden or Jonathan Goldman, where they're saying, wow. The in breath and out breath is really the sound of Yahweh. Yahweh. That was the breath, and that was the secret of the breathing of the universe, the secret name of God, Yahweh. But it wasn't the speaking, it was just the breath. And so we're talking inspiration, expiration, involution, evolution, you see? And now you get into the divine matrix, and you get into the quantum fields, and you get into Rupert Sheldrake and the physics of angels, and Matthew Fox, where they're saying angels are really photons in light. And it's like the whole universe is open now, because it's all light, it's all the breath of God, it's all you. And you're in the creation moment.
Okay.
Yeah, word.
I'm almost afraid to ask this next question, but that's okay.
Yeah. So
the next question is,
I get
years from now, if everything goes exactly the way you want it to go, every little detail exactly the way you want it to be, what's Emerson Theological Institute going to look like then?
How many years from now?
10.
I would like us to have regional outposts. It's with John coming online, and because we even though we're growing fast in consciousness, we want to make sure that we still don't forget our personal relationships with people, and we want to make sure that the people that graduate, that they are the heart, that they are the consciousness of all there is, of all that is, the God is all there is. That when you think of Emerson, you think love, you think heart, you think courage, you think you just and so I don't want to say what it's going to look like, because it's going to be greater as long as we keep our egos out of it, as long as we continue to align with the highest divine potential. Those transcendent, the I am cards that we developed, and there's that one what was that let me see if I can. because we when we would anchor, and there was this one about I am now aligned with my highest divine potential, but it was I am transcendence. I am the frequency of the divine, emanating out and touching all with the expanding knowing of the ever open doorway into the infinite consciousness of God's source. I know I am aligned with my highest divine potential. I am transcendence. I am now aligned with my highest divine potential. God is, God is, God is. And so we let it be so, and so it is.
I am not often speechless. Wow. Okay, here's the last question.
Okay.
Will you come back?
Oh, sure.
Okay, hold on. I got the calendar here. I don't let anybody escape.
Oh, thank you. I feel like one of the Jesse James.
I'm looking at the 6th of January, I believe it is, in next January.
The 6th of January? All right.
I'm sorry, February. The 6th of February. January is already booked.
Oh, darn. I was going to say that's the day of the Magi. We could talk about frankincense and myrrh.
I'm going to put you in here.
Yeah, 6th of February would be lovely. That'll be 3 days after my birthday.
Oops, I got something wrong. Now it should be this one. Okay, the 6th of February. Excellent. Thank you so much for being here. It is always such a delight to spend time in your aura, I'm telling you. And folks, don't forget to come back next week, because next week is a twofer. We have Jeannie Kataoka and Al Yankee, who are the co-hosts of Real Conversations on New Thought Media Network. So I'm really looking forward to it, because this is Al's first time. Jeannie's been here a couple of times already, but this is Al's first time, so it's going to be new and exciting. Don't miss it. And have a great week between now and then. Bye-bye.
Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network. Come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace and blessings.